We're going to be talking about suffixes, base words, and prefixes. So, talking about base words, well, what are they? Base words are words that can stand alone. Our example here is we have the word do, as in do your homework. Do is a word that can stand on its own. If I look at the word redoing, do can stand on its own. Do is our base word. When we're talking about prefixes, prefixes are not words, but they do come before a base word and they create a new version of that word. So if I add re and then add our base word of do, our word is redo. I have a base word and a prefix. The next thing we're going to talk about is suffixes. Suffixes go on the end of a word. So if I am talking about redoing my homework, I have a base word of do, a prefix of re, and a suffix of ing. Ing cannot stand on its own, so it needs something else attached to it. It needs a base word, do, with my suffix ing, do-ing. Ing is a suffix. So if we are looking at our spelling words here, we have the word moving. What do you think the base word in moving is? Remember, the base word is the part of that word that can stand on its own. Do we think that ing can stand on its own, or do we think move can stand on its own? The word move can stand on its own. Our next word is easier. Do we think can stand on its own, or do we think easy can stand on its own? Easy can stand on its own. Then I have the word beginning. Do you think ing can stand on its own, or do you think begin can stand on its own? Begin is a word that can stand on its own. Then I have begged. I have ed, or I have beg. What can stand on its own? Beg can stand on its own. Next, I have using. I have ing and use. Which one is a word that can stand on its own? Use. Use is a word that can stand on its own. Next, I have the word bragging. What part of the word bragging can stand on its own? Brag. Brag can stand on its own. Oh, I just made a mistake. That is not a B. What is that? That's a D. So it's not brag, it's drag. Dragging is our word. And drag, when I drag something, can stand on its own. My next word is carried. What part of the word carried can be its own word? Carry. Carry can stand on its own. The next word we're going to look at is noisier. What part of the word noisier is a word that can stand on its own? Hopefully you didn't say cannot stand on its own, but noisy can. The next word we're going to look at is angriest. Can ist stand on its own? No, that is not a base word. Angry is. And our last word is emptied. What part of the word emptied can stand on its own? Empty. Very good. So this was our activity of breaking down our word and finding its base word. Now I want you to think about what part of the word is the suffix. Well, if we're looking at our word moving, ing is the suffix. If I'm looking at our word easier, er is the suffix. If I'm looking at the word using, ing is the suffix. If I'm looking at the word beginning, ing again is the suffix. If I'm looking at begged, ed is the suffix. If I'm looking at angriest, est is our suffix. If I'm looking at the word carried, what do you think the suffix is? That's right, ed. If I'm looking at the word noisier, which part of the word is the suffix? ER, very good. And if I'm looking at the word dragging, ing is the suffix. And our last one, emptied. What part of the word emptied is our suffix? ED. Do you notice that all of our suffixes come at the end of our words? Ing, ED, ER, ING. All of these come at the end of our word. So when we are looking at our spelling patterns for this week, we're talking about adding ING, we're talking about adding ED, we're talking about adding ER, and we're talking about adding EST. We're going to take a look and see how our base words look a little different when you add those suffixes. Because if you noticed, you might have been thinking to yourself, why is Miss McCune not talking about this I? And why do we not keep that Y? Why did we add an extra G? Why did we add an extra N? I'm going to answer those questions today. So there are 4 main rules that we're going to talk about when we are adding what we call vowel suffixes. Vowel suffixes, the only reason why it's called that is because each of these suffixes, what does it begin with? It begins with a vowel. So we call them vowel suffixes. So these are our rules when it comes to vowel suffixes. The first rule is base words that end with silent E, we're going to do something with it. Base words that end with silent E. Let's take a look back at our base words we wrote down over here. Do you see any base words that we wrote that end with a silent, I call them sneaky E? There's 2 of them. Hopefully, you said move and use. Those are our 2 words that end with a sneaky E or a silent E. Words that end with a silent E and you're adding a suffix ing, a suffix ed, a suffix er, or a suffix est, all you do is drop that E and add what you need to add. So I'm dropping the E and adding ing. That makes moving. If I have the word move again, I drop the E and I add ed. That says moved. I'm going to type the word move again. I'm going to drop my E and add er. That says mover. And then movist is not really a word, so I'm just going to leave it there. So remember, when you have a word that ends with silent E, all you do is drop that E and add the suffix you need to add. So for this week, your spelling word is moving. So what you'll do is you'll type the word move, drop that E, and add your ing, moving. The next base word that we have that ends with silent E is the word use. We will do the same exact thing. You drop that E and add your suffix, ing. If I have the word use again and I want to say used, I use that ed. What do? You drop that E and add your suffix ed. If I'm a video game user, I'm going to write the word use. Remember, if it ends with silent E, you drop that E and add your vowel suffix, user. That is our first spelling pattern that we have gone over, is when our word, our base word, ends with an E. So we covered the word moving, and we covered the word using. Okay, so next we're going to move on to our double it rule. Can you say double it rule? Awesome. So you might have noticed when I was talking to you guys up here about base words that some of them had an extra letter. Like, look at this word begin, the base word begin, B-E-G-I-N. But if I spell the word beginning, I have 2 N's. That's really weird. Let's look at this one. I have the word begged. Well, the base word just has 1 G. Why am I adding another one? Do you see another word in our spelling list here that adds another consonant? If you were looking right over here at drag and dragging, you would be correct. There's only 1 G in our base word. But when we add our suffix, another G is added. Let's talk about why. So the words we're going to be going over are beginning. So I'm going to write the base word, begin, beg, and drag. Those are the 3 words that we have in our spelling list that when we add that suffix, that vowel suffix, it doubles the letter. And here's why. The reason why we double that last letter is because a short vowel ends the word. So let's look here. I have the word drag. Let's sound it out. Ag. Drag. I didn't say drag, I said drag. That is a short vowel sound towards the end of the word. So with our double it rule, if it ends with a short vowel sound, you will double the consonant. Now this only works for consonants. You double the consonant, so D-R-A-G-G, and then add your vowel suffix, I-N-G. If I wanted to say the word dragged, like I dragged my backpack across the floor, I write our base word, D-R-A-G. It ends in a short vowel sound with an ending consonant. That means I double the G and add ed, dragged. If I'm the person that dragged the backpack across the floor, I'm the dragger, right? So same rule. You would just add the extra consonant and add your suffix er. Let's look at the one that is next, beg. B-egg. I didn't say b-eeg. I said beg. Short vowel sound. The E is saying the short E sound. And it ends with a consonant. So that means I'm going to double the consonant and add my suffix. Okay, and these happen to be vowel suffixes. So our word is begged. I add my suffix ed. If I am saying that I am begging you to please watch this video very carefully, I'm going to write my base word beg. We have our short vowel sound towards the end and our consonant at the end. That means I double the final letter and I add my vowel suffix, begging. Let's look at the last one. So the last one is begin. Let's sound that out. B-E-G-In. I have 2 vowels here, so let's break it down. I have B, which is a long vowel sound. E says its name in B-E-B-Gin. That is a long vowel sound. But is that at the beginning of the word or the end of the word? It's at the beginning. And I said when we have a short vowel sound that ends the word. So let's look at the ending of our base word. B, G, I, N. It's not G, ein, it's G, in, begin. So because we have that short vowel sound towards the end of our word, we will write the base word, begin, double the final letter, and add your vowel suffix. Same thing for the word beginner. You write your base word, begin, double your final letter, and add your vowel suffix, er. I'm going to delete this. That is why we double the N in begin, we double the G in begged, and we double the G in dragged. Okay, so that is our second rule we've gone over. So that means we've talked about the word beginning. We talked about the word begged. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was this color. Yes. And we talked about the word dragging. All right. So we obviously have some more words to go over. Let's look at our next rule. Our next rule is talking about base words that end with Y. Let's go back up here and look at our words with our spelling words with their base words. Do you see any of the base words that I typed in here that end with Y? Look for any of the base words that end with Y. I'll give you a hint. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 of our spelling words that when they're just a base word by themselves end with a Y. If you found them all, you would have found the word carry. That ends with a Y. Noisy. That ends with a Y. Angry. That ends with a Y. And our last one was empty. That one also ends with a Y. Let's look at why it changes a little bit. Because if you look here, I don't see a Y in my spelling word. But Miss McCune, why don't I see a Y in my spelling word? Let's talk about it. So, base words that end with Y. We said one of them was carry, noisy, I'm going to scooch down just a little bit, angry, and empty. That's 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I make a mistake? I sure did. Let's go back up here. If you can't make a mistake, you can't make anything. I missed one. I missed the easiest one. Did you see what I did there? Easiest. Okay. I missed the easiest one. I missed easy. So there are actually 5. If you caught that, awesome. So we're going to talk about base words that end in Y. Anytime I have a base word that ends with a Y, I drop the Y. You drop it. And you add an I. Let's look at our first one. Easier. Like I said, I'm going to write my base word, easy. I'm going to drop the Y. I'm going to add an I. And then I'm just going to add my vowel suffix, ER. Is that getting easier? I know that's probably really cringy. Let's try it again. My base word is easy. Anytime you're adding a vowel suffix, you're going to, and it ends in a Y, you're going to drop that Y. You're going to add an I, and you're going to add ER. Is that getting easier? I'm so sorry. Okay, let's try it again. Easy. I need more coffee right now. Easy is our base word. It ends with a Y. When you are adding a vowel suffix, remember a vowel suffix is a suffix that begins with a vowel. You're adding a vowel suffix. You drop the Y, you add your I, and then your vowel suffix. So I just made the word easiest. This is the easiest. Maybe not. Okay, so base words that end with Y, you drop the Y, you add a I, and then you add your suffix. Let's look at our next examples. My next base word is carry. I'm going to say that I carried the team. I'm going to write my base word, carry, C-A-R-R-Y. Ooh. Just like I said, you drop the Y, you add a I, and then you add your suffix. I'm going to say carried. Carried. Okay. Are you noticing how there might be something that looks a little weird? I kind of stopped myself because I wanted to explain it at the end. So we have our word carried. Let's try carrier. Like if I'm a carrier, like a hospital carrier. Carry, drop the Y, add an I, and add your vowel suffix. Something looked a little off when I started to type. I was gonna say carrying. Let's try our rule and see what that looks like. Carry, I drop the Y, and add an I, and I add my, oh no. It auto-corrected. Here's why. When you're dropping the Y and you're adding that I, if you're adding a vowel suffix that happens to start with an I, I'm talking about ing typically, you do keep the Y. Thankfully, our spelling words this week did not do that. So thankfully, we don't really have to stress about that one, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. But if you were wondering, well, why does that look weird if it had two I's? The reason why is because you drop the Y, add the I, and if you're adding a vowel suffix ing, you don't actually add another I. You just change it back to that Y, okay? Let's look at our next ones. I have the word noisy. I'm going to write my base word, noisy. I'm going to drop that Y, add that I, and add my vowel suffix, noisier. I'm going to say the noisiest. So I might have the noisiest neighbor ever. Totally kidding, I don't. But if I were to say that and write that and spell it, I would start with my base word, noisy. I would drop the Y, add an I, and add my EST, noisiest. Okay. I'm going to go through the last ones kind of quickly just because I feel like I really focused on these up here. So angry, let's write our base word, angry. I drop the Y, I add my I, and it's angriest. I'm adding my EST, my vowel suffix EST, angriest. What if I'm angrier than you? I'm going to write my base word, angry, drop the Y, add an I, and then add my vowel suffix E-R, angrier, okay? And our last one, our word is empty. So I'm going to say that I emptied the trash can. I emptied, so I'm going to write my base word, empty. I'm going to drop the Y, add my I, and add my ED. I emptied the trash can. You might notice, though, emptying is kind of like that carry one, that like special rule. Let's skip it, okay? I emptied the trash can, okay? Then we don't have any other ones over here, but I did want to say one thing. The rest of the time, you're just going to add the suffix, okay? The rest of the time, you're just going to add the suffix. You're not going to drop anything. You're not going to add anything. You're not going to change anything. You are just going to add. Just add, okay? Thankfully, we don't have any spelling words that use that this week, okay? But just know that there is a fourth rule, and the fourth rule is you just add it. I did forget one thing in our double rule. It's really important. Let me go back to it. I know you're like, I'm so done with her, but let me go back to it. There is one exception. Well, technically it's two, but there's one exception to this double rule. X's and W's. X's and W's, you do not double that last consonant, the final consonant. So if I have the word box and I'm going to go boxing, I don't add the extra X. That is incorrect. If it's X or W, you do not double, okay? So in that case, it's like my rule 4 where I just add ing, okay? The same thing with row. Like if I'm going rowing, okay, it ends with that W. Do not double it. That is incorrect. You're just going to write ing. You are just adding it. So our examples were rowing and boxing. Because it ends with an X, because the base word ends with a W, we do not double it. You do not double it. Yes, it meets that short vowel CVC ending, but because it's an X or a W, you do not double it, okay? So we talked about our base words that end with silent E, okay? That would be moving and using. Then we talked about our short vowel sounds that are towards the end of our word and how we double the final consonant. That's like in the word beginning, begged, and dragging. And then the last type of word we talked about were base words that ended in Y. Base words that ended in Y, we dropped the Y, we added an I, and then we added our vowel suffix. So that was for the word easier. Sorry, I'm trying to do this quick. Easier. That is for the word carried. That is for the word noisier. That is for the word angriest. And that is for the word emptied. Okay? And then, like I said, our last rule, it really wasn't something that we're covering this week, but in case these rules don't apply, all you do is you just add the vowel suffix in. You just add it in. If it ends with a W, if the base word ends with an X, you just add it in. All right? So if you have any questions, please let me know. This is now the end of this lesson. In your textbook, on page, I'm trying to find it really quick. It's on page 123. I'm going to click on it right here. On page 123 in your textbook, it is now your turn. You are going to spell the base words and then you're going to add the endings. So here's what it says to do. It says to read the words and you're going to sort the words by their endings. So you're going to handwrite. I'm digitally right now, so I'm typing, but I will give you the first one. So the first word we have is moving. It ends with vowel suffix ing. So you will write with pencil the word moving here in this box. Then you're going to look for other words that end with the other vowel suffixes. As you go, guys, cross them out. Once you write in moving, cross it out so you know that you made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All 10 are filled in. Not every box is going to get an answer. Okay? And then you do have your 2 bonus words at the end, which were notice and slowly. Notice and slowly are what we call high frequency words. That means words we see a lot. Okay? You're going to write the words until it reaches the end of the line. Mine doesn't have a line, but what I would do is I would just write the word notice, write the word notice, write the word notice until I finished the line that's across. All right? So if you have any questions, let me know, but this is the end of our spelling lesson. Have a great day.